Hey everybody, video here for you today, and this is a site I found just last night when I was doing some reading. I thought it was very interesting. Now we're going down to the northwest side of the Amazon jungle. This is Jaén, Peru, and there are some ruins down here, and there is a spiral temple on top of what people thought was a natural hill, but recent research has found this to be a big burial mound. Big mound pyramid here. Let's take a look. Now here you see the spiral temple on top here, but people thought this was a natural hill, but this is actually a man-made mound that goes back a few thousand years at least. But this is kind of a new realization that there is structures like this in this area of the Amazon, the very northwestern part of it. But it says a spiral temple sits atop a 3,000-year-old burial mound known as Montegrande in Peru's Amazon region. It says the Amazon jungle wasn't supposed to have been the site of something this big. The mound, known locally as Montegrande, spans more than 2 acres at its base and stands as tall as a 5-story building. It sits today amid rice paddies and cow pastures outside the Peruvian city of Jaén. Although it was overgrown with bushes and taken for a natural hill by people living nearby, the few archaeologists who had ventured to this remote corner of the western Amazon basin could not ignore the fact that it bore features to an ancient burial mound. It had steep sides and a round shape, and there are no other hills around it. When archaeologist Quirino Oliveira began excavating Montegrande, the Big Hill, in 2010, he discovered that it was not only bigger, but it was much older than anyone had imagined. Once the vegetation had been cleared, he found pottery from a 1,000-year span of history near the surface. But just a few feet down, the ceramics disappeared, and Oliveira began seeing evidence of architecture on an enormous scale. He uncovered sections of a long, semicircular wall 9 feet tall and coated with beige plaster that was reached by staircase made of boulders and packed earth. Later diggings in seasons 2012 and 2016 revealed wide platform on the mound's eastern side that would have faced the rising sun. And that seems to be a worldwide tradition. It says, in its size and antiquity, there is much to wonder at, but Montegrande has another curious feature. Near its summit, 2 feet below the surface, Oliveira found an arrangement of rocks in the form of a spiral, about 40 feet in diameter. The rocks coil up and around the outside of the mound like a huge snake. At its top, it suddenly coils in on itself to create a shallow depression. In that hole, Oliveira found ash he believes to be the remains of ancient ritual fires. In 2016, Oliveira excavated the deep depression further and found, beneath the ash, a thick layer of stones that he suspected protected a tomb deep in the center of the mound. So, spiral rocks were found 2 feet down under the top of the mound, and then what appears to be a burial chamber. It says, Oliveira's first instinct as the Montegrande coil emerged was to interpret the feature as a giant astronomical instrument. The spiral could be seen as resembling the paths of the heavenly bodies. He noticed that the stones end in a manner that positions the tip of the coil at the spot where the sun rises from behind a distant hill at certain times of the year. And I've talked about that on a lot of videos. These ancient people use natural features in alignment with the rising sun. Archaeoastronomy, that seemed to be an early worldwide phenomenon. Now here is an aerial shot of Montegrande, and any interpretation of what this might represent and the symbolism involved, well, I always appreciate the comments and the thoughts. Now I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Graham Hancock talk about ayahuasca. It says also here, the ancient coil of Montegrande has been interpreted as the image of swirling water, rotating heavenly bodies, a snail shell, or a vision inspired by the use of hallucinogenic drugs. So that possibility has been brought up here, and they talk about ayahuasca and hallucinogenic drinks that were drank in the Amazon and the Andes. It says, different people see different things when they take Amazonian hallucinogens, but if there is one common apparition, it's spirals. At the beginning, you see flashing lights and swirls that lead into animal figures, such as coiling snakes, says Clasby, who took ayahuasca, which is legal in Peru, with a shaman in the jungle port of Iquitos. Hallucinogens help him form a whole way of seeing the world, a broad cosmology that then applied to the landscape with spirals. So this is all very interesting. We have a pyramid that was found here. There, underneath the top of the pyramid, when they dug down, they found this spiraling coil, and down at the very center of that coil, they figure they might have found an ancient tomb. But I thought this was very interesting. People thought this was a natural hill, but this seems to be the ancient work of man. Strange spiral temple that was found underneath the top of the mound. The Amazon has a lot of secrets to hide. Now here's an article that just came out a couple days ago from the Archaeological Institute of America. It says artifacts push back possible settlement of Amazonia. It says Science News reports that evidence of human occupation of the southwestern Amazonia some 10,600 years ago, or several thousand years earlier than previously thought, has been unearthed in Bolivia. Archaeologist Jose Capriles of Penn State University and his colleagues found burned pits of wood and clay and the 6,250-year-old remains of hunter-gatherers buried in trash heaps made up of snail shells, fish, small animals, bones, and other organic remains at sites thought to have been regularly occupied for several months at a time. And this just kind of leads in to that other article, but new findings are pushing back the dating of that area of the world and the early occupation of it. 10,600 years ago, now they're saying, is the evidence of the earliest occupation of the Amazon. But I will leave a few links below, but I just thought that was a very interesting story. This is an area that I really haven't covered too much in this area of the jungle. And those ruins that are found in the Amazon jungle are found down in this area here. If you want to take a look for those on Google Earth, you can see those areas that have been cleared here. But that is a fascinating story. There's so much we don't know about our past. Hope you thought that was cool, and you all have a very nice day.